Hope you're doing good today. I just want to get out of the way. All these videos are my experience and my research on this channel. I try to help other adoptees or adoptive parents or parents looking to adopt. This particular video sparked an idea because I'm having a really hard day today. I'm not sure why, but it took me back to my childhood actually. Specifically days and weeks I actually sat on the couch and just couldn't move and just like sitting staring at the TV. And I remember seeing a story or hearing a story that it's kind of common for an adopted child to sit on the couch or sit in their room and kind of not know what to do with themselves. And I wanted to give a little insight on it, why I did this from my experience. So if there's any adoptive parents that are dealing with an adopted child that is kind of not knowing what to do, you don't know what to do because you're afraid that they will be rejected if you say, hey, you need to get out on your own, or it's not in their best interest to just sit there and do nothing. So it's kind of like, what do you do in this situation where, as me as a child, I would sit on the couch and just be in such horrible depression and what I now know is grief that was never allowed to grieve because nobody knew that it was grief. So I wanted to make this video to kind of shine a light on what my experience was, why I sat on the couch, because that's all I want to do today. And I know for my mental health, I'm not going to get anything done. And I know where that leads me now after 39 years of being me and dealing with all the internal conflicts going on in the adoption fog. So going back to my childhood, the reason why I sat on the couch and did nothing, and I was kind of waiting for somebody to come and save me and say, hey, do this. And I'm like, I can't do this. If I go do this, I'm afraid of rejection. If I sit on the couch, I'm afraid of rejection. Everything, it's like this cape or like 1,000-pound weight of anything I do, I'm going to be abandoned. And it's such a primal thing that even adoptees that I talk to today don't even say that they have it, because it's such an insidious thing. It's so subtle. It's so inside of our, at least the adoptees that I speak to, not every adoptee deals with this, but it's such inside our being that it happened when we were a baby, that when we were abandoned by our mother, or whenever it happened, whether our parents died in a car wreck when we were 8, whatever it may be, if we had parents and either were given up as a baby or separated by them through death, and now we do not have our parents, like, there's a sense of loss there. At least I can only speak for myself, that if it goes unaddressed and unacknowledged, that I didn't know what to do with myself. So what I could have used, now knowing what I know, is if I was a parent parenting me, knowing what I know I need now, I would come up to myself as a parent talking to a child and say, hey, what do you need? What's going on internally? Can you describe what's going on? And most of the times I just say, I don't know, I'm having a really hard time. And then you got to dig deeper, like, okay, well, what are the feelings? Like, are you imagining stuff, or what exactly are you imagining? And I would try to dig deeper. And a lot of times I didn't even know how to put words into it. I remember one time I told my dad I thought I was living in hell. I didn't even know why I said that, because it's such a, I always told my wife that I thought I was seeing through a kaleidoscope, that my world and my mind was so clouded and I was so stuck in my head from unresolved grief from my adoption and my relinquishment and losing my parents and so much more that went unaddressed, that it looked like I was trying to look through a kaleidoscope. If you ever look through the kaleidoscope and it's like you're trying to see clearly and there's just like 40 million pictures, that's how my world looks, and that's the only way I can describe it. Like, that's how I navigate the world, and it's so terrifying because nobody else can see it. accept me. I'm experiencing it. So I'm like, and then I have to see through this lens, and then that leads to other people picking on me, bullying me in work, in school, in family. I don't feel like a sense of family. And even though I have a family, I feel isolated and I feel rejected because to me, they're my family, but they're not my biological family. So I'm unwanted. And the point that I'm trying to get it to is the skill of listening and the skill of entering your child's world is the two main topics that I needed. So asking, hey, what's going on inside of you? And now knowing like me that I was grieving my biological parents, you can go to your child understanding that, hey, there's a lot of abandonment, there's a lot of rejection. You lost your mother, you lost your father, you lost your biological family. If that's the case, whatever the situation was, you can validate them like, hey, you went through something really rough and, I'm here for you. And then you just listen. The skill of listening is like, my parents didn't have it and a lot of parents didn't have it. And if you still see your child that's sitting on the couch as a child that is being given everything and that is now ungrateful for that because they could have been in this situation, and you do not see them as a grieving child who has lost everything important to them, that is something that I would recommend that you really, as a parent, look at. Like, why do you see them that way? And if you really want to help your child, you should try, or not you should, but from my experience, what would have helped me is if my parents understood that I was dealing with incredible sense of loss and abandonment and rejection that I did not know how to deal with. And that's why I sat on the couch staring at the TV and I didn't know what to do with myself. And if I just had somebody validate that and listen to me and really like not say like, oh, well, you could have been this and you could have been that. If they really just sat me down and said, hey, you've been through something really traumatic, what would help? And then you just stop talking. And if they still don't know how to do it, like talk and speak and get a voice for it, then dig deeper with another question. Hey, your parents like this, you lost your parents in this way. How do you think that makes you feel now? Is that something that you're dealing with now? Is it abandonment? And then just stop talking and listen. That is the hardest skill for people, even myself, is to listen to others and be quiet. We all want to be listened to. We all want to be respected. We all want to be loved. And dealing with a hurting child and a grieving child that does not even understand grief or abandonment is up to the adult. I'm sorry to say, but it is up to the adult, because a child that is grieving should not have the responsibility of explaining to you how the grief process works. So try to learn to listen, try to learn to enter the child's inner world by asking questions and then actually listening and digging deeper. And that's what would have helped me. Unfortunately, I'm still trying to do this myself and very in a lot of emotional fucked upness and pain, and it sucks. And I wish I had somebody there to help me with my internal grief when I was younger, and I still have not gotten that, to be completely honest. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, and I hope you find some value in this video.